Hi there, good afternoon. This is Your Stocks. I'm Mangla Malu. With me is Sumaira Abdi. This is a show where we answer all your stock and investment related queries. Before that, a quick check at the markets. Well, it's been absolutely flat for both the Nifty as well as the Sensex. Range bound day for the first day of November series. However, that doesn't take away from the fact that the Nifty Bank, that one's outperforming with a gain of almost 0.75%. We have the mid cap index as well, sitting with a gain of 0.6%. What's weighing the Nifty down is Reliance as well as TCS. Alongside, we also have Infosys, which is lower. Hi Sumaira, looks like a decent afternoon.
Looks like a decent afternoon, no doubt. You have a weekend that's coming up.
That makes it better.
Yeah, and it is still the festive season, right? So yeah, exciting times for now. But let's see if the frontliners pick up pace yet again. I guess a day like yesterday can spoil you. But okay, first up our top stories. Market trades flat. Heavyweights Reliance, TCS and M&M keep a lid on gains. Nifty Bank and the mid-cap index stage a big outperformance.
After the disappointing core sector data, manufacturing PMI 2 comes in at a 2-year low of 50.6 but shows growth.
Yes Bank sees some profit booking ahead of its Q2 numbers and the announcement of the name of the global investors. Zee and Dish TV shares spike on a CNBC TV18 news break that lenders suspect that Oppenheimer has been buying shares for a large media company.
Good tidings for the auto sector in October. Bajaj Auto reports a 15% month-on-month improvement in sales. Management says October has been the highest ever retail sales for all businesses, while Maruti sales jump over 25% month-on-month. M&M too shows a total tractor sales jump of 23% month-on-month.
And Voda Idea shares rally following an exclusive news break by CNBC TV18. We learned from sources that the promoters are looking to raise fresh capital by bringing in an investor. Both promoters said to be exploring all options of equity infusion. All right, now as we speak, some more auto sales coming through, this time from SML Isuzu. It's a 40% drop in their total sales, so they've managed to sell just about 500 odd units, which compares with 800 plus. So total sales down about 38%, yes, on a Y-on-Y basis. But in any case, I think, most people have been saying through the day that Y-on-Y comparison is not really fair. But for now, the stock reacting on the downside. Let's have our two experts joining in on Your Stocks today. Nirav Chheda and Shaina Mukaddam will be answering all our stock queries. So good afternoon to both of you. The first query is on pharma stocks. Saurabh has written to us from Ahmedabad. He's interested in Cadila Healthcare and Biocon. He wants to know which stock to buy for the short term. So Shaina, let me first come to you because, in just the stock selection itself, who would you give more marks to currently, Cadila or Biocon?
Well, I think between the two, I would go for a Biocon. I think the opportunity that Biocon has in the US market and developed markets for its biogenerics is very large, is much larger than what a Cadila has. But in terms of valuation, Cadila is much cheaper. Cadilla's current valuation is just about 15 times 1 year forward. So, I guess one can balance between the two. Cadila has got some near-term bounce left in it because of some resolution of the US FDA issues that the company had with its plant. So, in the near term, I think Cadila would give you that small bounce. But in the longer term, one can then switch to Biocon.
All right, near-term Cadila, long-term Biocon, a whole host of these stocks which are moving higher as we speak. A handful of them belong to the metal space. JSW Steel at the high point. We have SAIL higher as well. JSPL, of course, sitting with a gain of around 4.5–5%. That's been the case since morning. Tata Steel too has moved higher. So we'll keep an eye out on any sort of news coming in on that front. Yesterday as well, we got some trade-related news coming towards the last hour of trade, and that led all the metal stocks lower. And right now, as we speak, they're moving higher. So we'll keep an eye out on how this pans out. We have another query coming in. Rachna, price source from Bengaluru, holds about 600 shares of Jain Irrigation at 109 rupees for the last 1 year. Long-term investor wants to know whether to hold or sell. Well, Jain Irrigation, one of those pledged shares, wealth destroyer, which has been among the big destroyers over the last 1 year. They did have a lot of plans to go ahead and list their consumer business, etc. as well, but none of that came about, and our viewers losing a lot of money.
Yeah, and I think unless there is some resolution on that front, they are not going to really be able to, resolve the major issue, which is the huge debt. I think the balance sheet is under tremendous stress, and so unless that happens, I think the net worth is going to continue to get eroded. And I would, I have been telling my investors that you sell Jain Irrigation from much higher levels, because I think when the balance sheet is under stress in such times, I think it is not wise to really hold on to such stocks. So even at current levels, while the stock has really corrected, and I would still say the investor should switch from from the stock, probably get into some other momentum stocks where should probably recover some of our money.
Okay, Nirav, you have a take on Jain? Okay, we'll try and establish that connection with Nirav. For now, the next query comes in from Abhijit Nayak, who's written to us from Bengaluru. He has shares of L&T Finance, which he has bought at 128 rupees. He's been holding on for 10 months, a short-term investor, and wants to know what to do. Shaina?
This would be another stock which I wouldn't continue to hold on to. Basically, I think there are a lot of problems in terms of lenders to developers and the auto sector. Both the segments are under stress, and it is going to be reflected over a period of time in L&T Finance's numbers. We already saw the beginning of it with Altico having defaulted on some of its loans. So I think while the stock is ruling at decent levels after the big correction, I would suggest there could be a switch from this NBFC also, because you cannot rule out the negative news that would probably hit it at some point in time in future. So I would be recommending a exit from the stock.
All right, meanwhile, we have Kansai Nerolac results on your screen. Consolidated revenue is down by about 2.9%. The net profit has jumped on account of a tax write-back. A decline of 2.9% is still better than what CLSA was expecting this time around. The street was working with a cut of around 5% in the revenue, and that would largely be led by weakness in sales to the auto sector. Remember, Kansai Nerolac, among all the other decorative paint companies, has the highest exposure to the industrial sector, and Maruti is one of its biggest clients in the automotive sector as well, which saw a volume decline of 30% in the previous quarter. So that was understandable that there would be a revenue decline. However, the decline has been contained as against what the street was working with, and a net profit, of course, being boosted by the tax write-back. Just trying to get hold of the press release and perhaps get the margins as well, and the management commentary that we have for Kansai Nerolac. For the decorative part of the business, the street was expecting that the company will go ahead and post a double-digit volume growth, only to be negated by the weak volume growth that they would expect in the industrial segment. Okay, there we have it. Mr. Bharuka says decorative segment has registered good volume and value growth in the given environment. This has helped offset the continued and unprecedented slowdown in the automotive and other OEM segments where the company has a significant exposure. The company's decorative sales were impacted due to factors like extended monsoon, floods in many key states, and low offtake in Kashmir, where Kansai Nerolac has major presence. But well, we'll see what they're talking about going forward. The company does see a slowdown in the decorative segment, though it expects a revival once the unseasonal rains subside. Challenges of demand in industrial are expected to continue in the near future. So the management commentary does not look very optimistic going forward, but the margin growth has been positive. The street was working with a margin of 16%. The company's posted an EBITDA margin of 16.5%. The stock off lows on better than expected numbers. There is a decline, but it is less than what the street was working with.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back in a bit. Perhaps some more earnings will come through. We'll also have a lot of stock queries to answer. All that lined up in a bit. Stay tuned.
Life is better when the air is cleaner. Natural gas from ExxonMobil, a cleaner burning fuel that can help power Delhi and is also one of the ways to reduce emissions and improve air quality. ExxonMobil.
Get your kitchen to the next level of luxury with Architect Drawers. Hetic fittings make your furniture work beautifully. German quality you can trust.
Sales numbers of the fourth quarter are exponentially less as compared to the previous 3 quarters. Jeff. So, what's the news?
Mr. Sharma's son got married last year. It's his anniversary day after tomorrow. My maid, she ran away with the security guard, sir. That's the news, sir.
Irrelevant news blocking ways for the right information to get to you. Put unnecessary news in control. Upgrade to Money Control Pro, India's leading financial subscription service.
Hi, welcome back. You're watching Your Stocks. Well, it looks like the frontline space is perking up just a tad bit, at least for now. The Nifty is moving closer to that 11,900 mark. The Sensex is picking up pace as well, so about 50 points added over there. And, it's you'd want to look at Tata Steel actually a little closely. That stock has suddenly shot up. And in fact, it's not just Tata Steel. The entire metal pack is moving in unison. So Vedanta, Hindalco, JSW Steel, look at all of them and you'd see a very, very sharp spike there. I wonder if there's some news on the metal pack or
none yet,
but all of them, look at that.
Yeah,
all
absolutely,
of them have,
Sumera. We were tracking this sometime in the last 5 minutes as well. The reason why all the metal stocks usually move in unison is if anything comes on any of the international wires with regards to trade, and that's exactly what we saw yesterday as well, where China said that they're doubtful of a long-term trade agreement, and all the metal stocks sometime around this time itself saw a sharp decline. But now that all of them are moving higher, there could perhaps be, and the fact that ferrous, non-ferrous, everything which has anything to do with anything that grows or is available beneath the ground is moving higher. So perhaps it has something to do with the trade related issues itself.
Yeah.
But we'll keep an eye out on any commentary coming in yet. There's nothing official, so we don't know.
As of now, I'm trying to check some of the international news agencies also. So as of now, there's nothing that we have found, but let's see. Okay, so for now, the metal pack moving higher. But let's get back to answering some queries. Suresh Warrior is on the line with us from Mumbai. Mr. Warrior, good afternoon, sir. How can we help you?
Yeah, good afternoon. See, I am holding 289 shares of Emphasis Limited. Okay, this I purchased at 1,136.
Okay.
Currently, the price of that is around 947, 948. So I have, my notional loss is around 54,000 rupees. So is it worthwhile to hold on? I am a medium-term investor. I can hold on for a year or so.
Okay, so we'll get your advice from both our experts, but Nirav, first to you, for somebody who's making a loss but has a medium-term perspective, does it make sense to remain invested? What's the upside that you see over here?
Yeah. See, from a medium term or long term perspective, there are trends in a particular stock. This stock actually was in an uptrend for 2.5, 3 years, and now there's this consolidation which is going on. But I continue to believe, this consolidation will see a breakout very soon. It is likely to break out above the 975 odd levels, which is a very important resistance on the upside. And when that happens, I believe, he'll get his price. In fact, the stock can move up towards the 1200 odd levels as well. So definitely hold on to your stock from a 6 months to 1 year perspective.
All right, Sumera, getting a few comments coming in from a lot of these people who track the sector closely, and they're saying that perhaps the reason why the metal stocks are also moving higher is because up until now, because of Diwali, all the steel industry was closed. And it will it'll open on Monday. So there is expected to be some pent-up demand.
At 2:12, they
no idea how they do that exactly. So that's what I'm saying. We never really know what exactly happens. And now there is a comment that perhaps we've decoupled a little from the global steel prices, etc. So keeps happening, these random fray pieces of news if you must, and the stocks are moving
Well,
higher.
at least for now, the good news is it's helping the market too.
All right, indeed.
And the mid-cap index also now has moved up, so it's a 105-point up move over there. Nifty Bank up 244 odd points, and 1,300 stocks gaining on the NSE, as opposed to about 850 odd, which are declining. But the next query is up your alley?
Absolutely, it is. Mr. Sujit Kumar, who writes to us from Andhra Pradesh, holds about 50 shares of DMart at 1,500 rupees for the last 4 months. Is a long-term investor. Wants to know whether to hold or sell. Well, buy price could be at the higher level, but he's still perhaps, making a fair amount of money. 50 shares of DMart. Sumera, retail investors in the IPO got 50 shares at 299. Yesterday, the stock touched 2,000 rupees.
Wow.
So if one kept it, they would have been a lakhpati if you must. The value of their investment in DMart would be 1 lakh rupees. There you have it, a big
on
mover.
listing day itself.
On listing day, they doubled their gains, and from there, it's become about 7 times. So, quite a multi-bagger if you must. And now that FNO, NSE can introduce new stocks in FNO, we understand that one of these stocks could be DMart. Shahina, your view on DMart, his buy price and his call, what do you think he should do?
I think for this sector, it's better to stick with the better promoters, which actually is where DMart stands. In terms of valuation, it is extremely expensive. It has always remained expensive. But in terms of parameters, financial parameters, it is one of the best performing in its space in terms of your EBITDA margins, growth, the way they have got the properties in place on which the DMart stores are there, and volumes are really strong. They have seen strong volumes. So I would continue holding DMart despite it being a very, very expensive stock, because I think it defies gravity.
Defies gravity, I was looking at some numbers as well. In the last 7 years, the revenues have grown 9 times, the EBITDA has grown 11 times, and the net profit has grown 15 times. The stock since the IPO is higher by 7 times.
Wow. Okay. Up next, Mrs. Sumita Dikshit has written to us from Pune. She has 105 shares which she has bought in SBI Life at 700. She's been holding on for 6 months and now wants to know what to do. Nirav, SBI Life, do you track it? What should an investor do? I mean, I guess a lot of people are making money now. Should they look at taking money off the table, or perhaps put in a little bit more if you expect that the stock could head still higher?
See, definitely don't take it out of the table as of now. I believe SBI is likely to move up. SBI Life is, likely to move up further. It can probably touch 1,200, 1,300 odd levels, and probably go higher as well. Looking at a little longer term trend, there has been some very good volumes which has been happening from the 600 sub 600 odd levels up till now, and it continues to happen. So it is making a good higher top, classical higher top, higher bottom formation. So continue to hold on for a medium to long term perspective. It will continue to pay good dividends.
All right, and we have Tata Steel. I think that's the one that should come up for you on your screen right now. A big move out there as well. 4% move that we're seeing on that one. We have another query. We will keep an eye out on these metal stocks in any case. Archana Acharya writes to us from New Delhi, holds about 2,200 shares of Sasken Tech at 490 rupees for the last 4 months. A medium-term investor wants to know whether to hold or sell. What would you do with Sasken?
I would hold the stock. I believe, after a period of consolidation, the stock is likely to see up move. Good numbers they've reported good numbers. The revenue up by 11%, profits up by 34%. So I think most of the factors are positive for the stock after a nice period of consolidation. I expect the stock to move up. So I would continue holding, and I would give a target of, I would say that it could touch about 630, and one can keep a stop loss of about 565.
Okay, well, Nirav, Shaina, thanks very much for joining in and for answering so many of the queries that have come in. The news on Indigo, I've not actually had time to go
So the news was that Indigo, they will. The DGC has asked them to replace the engines of 7 more A320 Neos, and that is a negative news because remember, just a couple of days ago, the DGCA had asked them to replace engines of close around 15 or 16 planes in the next 18, 19 days or 20 days or something of that sort, as a result of which there was weakness in the stock. There was a report by Citi which indicated that the number of engine replacements they've asked for accounts for just around 7 or 8% of their overall fleet.
Actually,
but
this
the risk was
not even so bad, Mangalam, because this is a total of 23 where engines have to be replaced by the 19th of November, else they'll be grounded.
Right.
By the 31st of Jan, they have to replace both engines of all 97 A320 Neos. Else the operations of these planes will be barred if the engines are not replaced by the 31st of Jan.
That would be the bigger trigger on
and which
the
is
downside.
why that stock is coming off now so significantly.
All right, we'll probably get in, someone who has been tracking this story to give us more details on this. But
I think
this
Anu
does not look
Sharma
like,
should.
Okay, Anu Sharma should join us soon. What we do is actually take a short break, come back, and we'll keep our eye out on the ball and the individual stocks. As we take the short break, get you some market opinion coming in from Dipen Sheth of HDFC Securities. Listen in, come back, and we will track the Indigo story fairly closely.
Bajaj Auto is our top pick in the auto space, okay, and it's not just about they've had red hot Dhanteras or Diwali sales. Of course, that's exciting and that's good to know, and it really confirms part of our longer term thesis. My personal view is that Bajaj Auto is one of the most intelligently managed two-wheeler companies in this country. They're very well set for the BS6 transition.